All right, so a new patch drops in Marvel Snap, and it's got a new game mode, it's got balance changes, and a bunch of new features. Yeah, that's really exciting, and maybe you're drawn to the new game mode, so you dive on in there. But Drewberry here likes to check out the datamines and see what are those new cards that are around the corner. And guys, I have some absolute bangers for you here today. They are fire. I'm super excited, and it is led by the new season pass, which is projected to be August. Daken, or aka Akiro, aka Wolverine's long lost son. Let's go. This is fire. I absolutely love that we're bringing this character into Marvel Snap, and the ability is really sweet. But really quick, let's look at overall what you're getting out of this season pass. You got some awesome variants with Iceman, Magneto. Dude, that's a combo break. Magneto, it looks so good. And then Daken's got like this mechanized variant, looks amazing, and then those card backs look great. It all looks awesome. But what are the cards that are going to be attached to this season pass? All right, kicking it off with Daken, which is a really exciting card. I can't wait for this one. They're knocking it out of the park, by the way, with the season pass cards. I'm really happy with the choices they've made. So Daken here is a 3/4. On reveal, add the Muramasa shard to your hand. Now we're going to come back to Daken in just a second, but we have to understand what is the shard. All right, so here it is. It is a 1/1. On reveal, when this is discarded or destroyed, double Daken's power. Which, does that sound familiar? Wolverine's kind of got that ability of being discarded or destroyed, and you're going to notice this trend in this season pass, which is really exciting. I think that's a cool combination of keywords in Marvel Snap, okay? So obviously the idea is you want to destroy or discard the shard. Then you double Daken's power. Now, if you remember, he had 4 power and he cost 3. So that's essentially 8 power. If you're able to not even have to play this, if you do it in the discard package, for instance, then it's a 3/8, and that's fantastic value. And that's not even talking about after you buff Daken. You could buff him like with Shuri or something like that, get some crazy power totals, and then your Daken's looking like a 16 because you got him to 8 and then he doubled or something like that. There's a lot of potential there with the discard package and using like MODOK, for instance, right? Because it's in your hand. All you had to do was play Daken. It's in your hand, and then you MODOK, and maybe you had APOC and Swarms, and then it's just a crazy amount of power. Maybe even yet, you don't even need to play APOC or whatever. Maybe the game plan is literally to just MODOK on 6 because you know you're going to buff your Daken, and there's nothing your opponent can really do about that unless they don't have Prio and they Shang-Chi you, right? So you got to watch out for that. Another combo is Moon Girl. You get 2 of these shards in your hand. They both get discarded. They double the power of Daken twice. Oh my gosh, there you go. Insta 316. Crazy potential with the discard package, okay? But let's talk about the destroy package. So the only hindrance here that I see with this is that you actually have to play the shard. And that essentially makes it a 4/5 because you spent the energy to get Daken and the shard out, and then Daken has 4 power, the shard has 1. Of course, you don't actually want to keep the shard on the field. You want to destroy it with like Killmonger, Carnage, Deathlock, whatever, you name it. There's a bunch of options in the destroy package to get rid of this shard, and bam, your Daken has even bigger power. Again, so good with Moon Girl. If you can get multiple shards in hand, and you're probably rocking death, you get multiple deaths in hand, and then you're trying to destroy those shards, and then it discounts your deaths for a big turn 6. There is a lot of potential here. I'm going back really quickly to Daken because I wanted to talk about some other combos. So there's the collector, right? Because the card is going to your hand, and that actually plays into the discard package as well. I think it already kind of was running collector because you get a bunch of swarms and the APOC back to your hand. Now you have Daken throwing in a shard. Why not? That's a little bit of extra power. Wong, right? You get multiple shards to your hand. That also works in tandem with a lot of the discard package. They like to discard things on multiple times, like, I don't know, Lady Sif or even Colleen Wing to get rid of those shards, or even MODOK, right? Oh my gosh, dude. I feel like that package is just getting so strong, and it's already pretty darn good. Then also, I don't know how efficient this is, okay? So maybe take this with a grain of salt, but Silver Surfer. It's a 3-cost card, so you never know when Silver Surfer could work with this. Maybe it gets teched into those decks. I don't think it's the best because then what are you doing with the shard? Not a lot of those decks run discard or destroy, but I can't leave that off the table. It's always a possibility with 3-cost cards. Yeah, I am really excited. This got me fired up when I saw this at work. In terms of the variants, I do like the mech season pass variant. The base one is actually just sweet. He looks like such a badass. This one looks pretty good, and the Dan Hib looks good. So we're in a good place when it comes to Daken. But what else is coming out that season? All right, next up is the Silver Samurai. So this card was actually changed from its Datamine, which has been Datamine for a very long time. It used to be a 1/2, and when it was discarded, it would allow you to draw a card, which seemed insane, which is probably why they ended up changing it. And I have to say, I don't love the change. It's now a 4/5 on reveal. Each player discards the lowest power card from their hand. It's very, very reminiscent of Black Bolt, right? Making your opponent discard the lowest power card in their hand, or Moon Knight. It's kind of like a hybrid of them. Moon Knight makes you discard each a card, and you don't see Moon Knight hardly ever. And Black Bolt only kind of came into popularity because of stature, and consequently they both got nerfed. I still think that deck is pretty decent, but clearly not being played as much. So it makes me not really love Silver Samurai here, which is why I'm only giving it 2.5 stars. The 4/5 stat line is a bit underwhelming compared to other discard options, which usually have increased stat lines for their downside of having to discard something, which we have learned is actually a good thing in most scenarios if the deck is built correctly. And then it is nice that it's targeting, it's target discard. It's targeting the lowest power. There's a lot of synergy there with Swarm, right? You want to get rid of your Swarm. There's going to be a card that I'm going to talk about soon that has incredible synergy with this card. And then obviously you're discarding 2 cards that might help your Morbius out. Maybe you do Wong shenanigans. I don't know. There might be a way to make this work. And then of course you make stature cost 1. But overall, I feel like this is just going to be underwhelming. And I think if you're doing this deck anyways, you literally just stay with Black Bolt and stature. Not to mention the stature Black Bolt deck typically didn't run anything that you actually wanted to discard. So I don't know if there's like a new hybrid that will spawn from this, but look at this variant right there. Oh my gosh, the mech one and this one right here, the samurai. Oh my gosh, those are incredible variants. I feel like this card's going to have just so many good variants, but it's pretty neat. I would like to see maybe a stat increase on this card, maybe like a 4/6 could make it a lot more legit, maybe a bigger potential on this card. But for now, I'm leaving it at 2.5. I would be happy to be wrong. It looks very cool. All right, then moving right along, we have Lady Deathstrike, a 5/3 on reveal. Destroy each card here with less power than this. This is a very exciting destroy card. It didn't have this ability or this stat line in the past for its original Datamine. It was a 6/4, and I believe it had on reveal destroy the highest power card on your opponent's side of the board, or at that location, right? So it was only destroying one thing. It had to be the highest power. A lot of people were like, that's not as good as Shang-Chi in most scenarios, right? Because it's going to cost 6. It's your final play. Now, Lady Deathstrike is not your final play. You can use this on turn 5, and you can destroy multiple things. Maybe even run this in Hazmat, right? You do a bunch of giving negative power, maybe even in a high Evo deck. So you make them, all these cards have really low power, and then bam, Lady Deathstrike destroys the entire side of their board. Unbelievable value. That is so sick. And then again, you could buff Lady Deathstrike and it's going to give you even more value. Then you could use Arnim Zola. If you have a 6 power Lady Deathstrike and you Arnim Zola that to 2 other lanes, you're probably going to destroy so many things. The value is through the roof. But you're probably wondering, Drew, why did you give it 3 stars if you think it's so crazy? Well, there's just inherently a few problems with this card. Counters, for instance, obviously Cosmo, Armor, Professor X, any of those kind of cards that are going to stop destroy mechanics from working always kind of suck with this. But the other thing is you're kind of targeting the little guys, the guys that maybe already spent their value, like Iceman or Scorpion or whatever, stuff like that. And that just might not be enough to swing the game. I think you have to invest in this card to really genuinely get value out of it. As it is, if you play it as a 5/3, you're going to destroy anything that has 2, 1, or 0 or under power. Now that could also help destroying goblins on your side. It's reciprocal, right? So you do have to watch out what you're destroying on your side of the board. but it could help. It could get rid of those goblins and destroy some other stuff. There's potential. I just feel like you're going to have to buff it, then you're going to have to play it, and then you're going to have to do something else after, because it's not that much power on its own right. If you play it on turn 5, you could give your opponent an opportunity to react. If you leave it till turn 6, you might whiff. You might not hit things you want, or armor starts getting ticked in. So depending on the meta, this could honestly be a 4-star card. I wouldn't put it at 5. I would hover it around 3 and 4. It's giving me Spider-Man 2099 vibes, where it could have really good potential and do a big swing, or it could whiff or be a bit of a brick in your hand. You know, when you compare it to Spider-Man 2099, you have to move that card. Then it destroys something random. It only destroys one card, whereas this is just straight up an on reveal. You get to place it where you want, destroy maybe multiple cards. You're just restricted to the amount of power that is on this stick when you play it. So anyways, it looks really interesting. I love the change that they made this card, because the original one just wasn't exciting, and this actually seems to have potential. So let's go. And a nice little layup. Forge into the Lady Deathstrike, 5 power, destroy anything 4 or under. Great. Fantastic. Love it. Okay, and lastly, we have X23, which I almost made this a 5-star card. I could be swayed, dude. This is pretty wild. So it's a 1/2. When this is discarded or destroyed, right? Wolverine style, okay? Regenerated at a random location, and you get +1 energy next turn. So Wolverine is a 2, and he gets +2 power every time he's destroyed, regenerated, etc. It works great with Galactus, for instance, and a few other decks can make it work. But with X23, we're talking about ramp. We want to get to those later stages of the game at a faster pace. So it kind of just says, see ya later, Psylocke, because you're playing Psylocke as a 2/1, and then you get 1 energy, and that's basically it. Whereas X23 can continue to give value turn over turn, maybe helping you ramp into that destroyer on turn 5 so you can destroy X23, and then whatever else is on the board so that your death is easy to play, plus whatever else you feel you need to play. So good, and the value keeps, you know, spawning. She's not going anywhere. It's not spent. She's just still going to give you 2 power somewhere, which is going to help, or screw you over. I can't deny that. I said that with Silk. I'm going to say it with this card. It could go to Bar with No Name or something like that. The RNG aspect is kind of present here, but I think for the most part, just getting that ramp turn over turn is really nice. You do have to invest in it, so there has to be a proper deck assembled to make this work, but there's a lot of options, dude. We could even talk about Silver Samurai if we want to put in the discard package. That's a potential. I don't love it as much there. That's why I'm focusing on destroy, because you discard it once, it's hard to get it back to the hand and discard it a second time, so there's not that ongoing value essentially in this card. But in the destroy package, right, we have that destroyer play. We even have Lady Deathstrike I was just talking about. This card qualifies if you play her on 5, and then you have a ramp on turn 6. 7 energy always helps on turn 6. How about that? I don't know, the lots of crazy potential. And like all the destroy cards want to destroy things. It works with this, right? You could Venom it, you could Carnage it, you could Deathlock it, you could Killmonger it, and it's all going to help into your game plan. Making death cheaper, stacking on null, anything like that, getting to that destroyer faster to destroy your Bucky Barnes and whatever. Like, there is a lot that can work here. I don't know, I have a feeling maybe this becomes a staple in a lot of the destroy decks, but time will tell. Maybe the investment isn't worth the payoff, but geez, anytime you get ramp, extra energy, discounts on your cards, it tends to work in Marvel Snap. So I have high hopes for this card. Oh, and by the way, look at this variant. It's like alien venomized X23. Oh my gosh, it's so good. I love this one. I think that might be my favorite one. Or this Peach Momoko, because Peach Momoko does not miss. And this one is, oh my goodness, it's so good. Okay, I want to talk about the bundles real quick. All right. So check it out. So this is big in Japan. That is what is projected to be the August season pass, which is pretty exciting, okay? And look at these new cards. Okay, so we have the X23, Lady Deathstrike, Silver Samurai, Daken, then also Loki, Never Gonna Let You Down. They did a little bit of a funny thing here, I think, for the data miners. Team Second Inner did, which is pretty funny. But Loki now has a 1/1 stat line, which might shed a little bit of truth to his stat line that might be in the game, because he originally was a 0/0, which is kind of just a placeholder for a lot of the early data mines. Now he has text, art, and he also has a 1/1, but we still don't know the ability, and it seemed to have been removed. It used to be on reveal, swap hands with your opponent, which is junk. I hope they do not put that in the game. Anyways, as we continue, we have the card backs. Look at Stegron Kaiju. Oh my gosh, that looks delicious. I love it. And Death Mech, oh my goodness. Okay, and then some of the variants that we already talked about, some of the locations, pretty neat. The Mount Vesuvius, I don't know if that is actually the art they're going to go with, which is hilarious. I think it's temp art, but players can't retreat after turn 5. That's wild. Very, very fun, interesting snap scenario there. Yashida base is at the end of the game, destroy the last card to get here, which is interesting. A bit of a race to make sure that you get there first so that you don't get a card destroyed or you just ignore the location. Valley of the Hand, after turn 5, your destroyed cards revive here, but you can only revive 4, so I wonder if that's in order or not. Interesting to say the least. Okay, and then we have bundles. So there's a Patriots bundle that's like for July 4th and whatnot. So you got Patriots, Cyclops, Misty Knight, a bunch of boosters, whatever. Power to move you, Iron Fist, Falcon, Phoenix Force, right? We have Phoenix Force season coming up. Pretty exciting. 500 tokens, though, is just whatever. No Ocean with a Namor. Phoenix 5 variant. This is all on Snap.fan if you want to check it out. It's pretty awesome how they data mine all this stuff. The Cosmic Wildfire has 6,000 tokens. That's going to be July 12th. For 7,500 gold, though, that is steep, but that is probably one of the better value bundles that we're seeing here. Love and Thunder is just playing back to the original season. Ring of Fire, a bunch of the booster packs. I'm just going to scroll through these because there's a whole bunch. If you want to see them in detail, go to Snap.fan. Ryan Gonzalez variants there. Oh, and then Stegron Kaiju looks very cool, dude. Oh my gosh, I'll be tempted for that. But no tokens makes it difficult. If it doesn't have tokens, I'm not into it. Deathmech, though, with the sick variant and card back and 4,000 tokens. Don't have a price tag on that one, but hey, that looks pretty sweet. You got some anime variants coming to Snap. Pretty cool. A lot of the throwback variants. Very nice, very nice boosters. Okay, let's get to the good stuff, which is new variants, because new variants are so fire. Look at all these variants, dude. Oh my gosh. I'm going to be scrolling through them a little bit quickly here, and I'm going to point out some of the, look at that lizard. That Ryan Gonzalez lizard is fantastic. The Falcon, the baby Falcon looks hilarious. The Craven looks great. I'm probably already skipping over some absolute bangers, but these are so good. The Killmonger, oh my gosh, what a badass. The shading on that. Mech Juggernaut looks pretty funny. Morph, looking in the mirror like he's about to go on stage. Oh my gosh, that's so good. Storm always hits. Every single variant, Storm hits. And then you got some Miles Morales cat. Okay, interesting. Not sure I dig that one. The Kaiju Stegron is very, very cool. That Blue Marvel on the corner there, I dig that Blue Marvel. It's like a cosmic Blue Marvel, not the other one where he's got the orange background, but the dark blue. I'm into that. This Giganto looks awesome. Look, that Heimdall is goated. I think that's my favorite Heimdall now. I do really like the Flavino Heimdall, but this one is pretty sick. And then you got the Hulk, the Colosseum Hulk, pretty good. And that Death, that might be the best Death variant yet. It looks so clean. And then these variants are in the game. So there you go, guys. That is it. That is the data mines that we got this time around. Very exciting stuff. Definitely snap subscribe if you're interested in keeping up on this kind of content, this kind of news, because I got you guys covered. All right. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.